Very recently, we got a new Superman trailer and a TV spot, and a lot of the criticism has been focusing on David Corenswet, who plays Superman, and they've been focusing on his face and how it appeared, primarily really his eyes. And I think it's just some of the most bizarre things that people have done or said about an actor of recent times. This is basically like the whole Gal Gadot armpit situation. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, when the first original Wonder Woman trailer dropped in 2017 or so, people were criticizing Gal Gadot's armpits and why they were completely bleached and pure white when she's like an Amazonian warrior who should be more of I guess you can say a little, well, in my opinion, I think she should have been more buff. I think they could have picked somebody else for that, but that's a different topic for a different story. But the fact is that the attention was really on Gal Gadot's armpits in that thing, and that's exactly what this reminds me of, which is basically like David Corenswet's eyes. His eyes, one of them is kind of like lopsided or whatever. Now, this is kind of normal in some people as well, I hate to break it to you, your eyes are not exactly even, they're not evenly shaped. Yeah, they don't always stay open in an even way. I personally have that problem myself. In some of my old photos, one of my eyes appears a little bit more lopsided than the other, and it's just the way it comes out sometimes. But then sometimes if I want to put a little bit more focus into my eyes to make sure that they appear as even as possible, then I focus on that. But the fact that people are just making a big deal about this is completely ridiculous and just asinine. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it. James Gunn has responded to this kind of backlash or this feedback or whatever you want to call it, and it was a positive response. So that's all I'm going to say, really. Superman's James Gunn replies to David Corenswet's new footage backlash. James Gunn addressed the backlash surrounding the new footage of David Corenswet in the latest TV spot of Superman. The scene featuring Superman flying over icy terrains sparkled debates among fans regarding the visual effects. Gunn responded by clarifying aspects of the filmmaking process, emphasizing the use of practical techniques and real locations. Fans compared David Corenswet's flying shot with past Superman actors. The release of a new TV spot for James Gunn's Superman, featuring David Corenswet as the titular hero in the flight, he has ignited comparisons among fans. One user remarked, "Man of Steel was over 10 years ago and it still looks light years better than JG's Superman." So this was the tweet, and honestly, this is a cover that's been altered with Photoshop and some editing software right here. I mean, that's easy to tell. Whereas this one, according to James Gunn, it's just mostly practical effects. Here is also another one. The downgrade is insane. And I love how comments like this come from people who don't know the first thing about filmmaking or editing or whatever. It's just a bunch of randos on the internet just who have nothing better to do but to compare. Here's one right here. I see no issues. It's a quick gif of both movies. This looks good. This looks good. I can argue that the color palette looks better on this than this, where this was during the era of the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises and whatnot, and Christopher Nolan's involvement and Zack Snyder's involvement. Zack Snyder's movie appeared to be a little bit more opaque and a little bit more bleak compared to James Gunn's version of Superman, where everything's supposed to be a little bit more bright and hopeful and everything. The color palette is great in this one compared to this one. Man of Steel is a good looking film, and I love Man of Steel, but I'm in favor of the color palette of this film versus this one. The reason being is because the red appears sharp, the blue appears bright and blue, and the icy terrain behind it looks really good and sharp. So this was getting back mocked by Superman CW show with 120 at the budget. I'm not going to go to the replies. This is the image in question right here. Now I can say that the CW, I've watched a ton of DC CW shows, and the budget on those shows were incredibly low. The special effects, especially in The Flash, which is a very heavy special effects driven type of show, the special effects in that show were laughably bad here and there, especially Supergirl, which by far had the worst out of all of them. Supergirl had the worst special effects. You go there and type in some special effects from Supergirl, you can see how laughably horrendous they are. Moving on. So fans' discussion have this focus on side-by-side videos of David Corenswet's Superman flying alongside footage of Henry Cavill's Henry, I can't speak today. Henry Cavill's Superman and Man of Steel, and Tyler Hoechlin's in Superman and Lois. And the Man of Steel was over 10 years ago. This is the same comment that I read earlier. And if you want a recent example, pick any flight scene from Superman and Lois. Despite them working with a much smaller budget compared to the movie, the showrunner still delivered on the quality. The debates primarily center on Gunn's stylistic choice, with critics pointing out to a reliance on better, brighter visuals and CGI. Positive reactions have surfaced, but critics continue to question whether this new version or vision lives up to a previous adaptation. And someone by the name of Bella on X says, "I'm not going to lie, his face looks a little wonky, but I know CGI always gets 10 times better the closer we get to the movie. But as far as TV spots goes, David Cornsweet looks great. Also, Lex looks badass. I'm obsessed. Nothing can stop me from seeing #Superman July 11th. And I think the movie looks fine. Like, honestly, I really do. This is a messed up like tweet right here. This is David Cornsweet's Superman. And this is that one character that was in that Adam Sandler movie. I think it was Big Daddy or something. He plays like this homeless guy. And I can't really remember the name right now. I'm usually good with names, but I can't remember his name right now. But he's funny. He's appeared in a lot of like Adam Sandler films. James Gunn says no CGI was used in David Cornsweet's new Superman shot. James Gunn addressed fan criticism regarding the flight scene, particularly claims that CGI was used to alter Cornsweet's face. There is absolutely zero CG in his face, Gunn stated on Threads. People's faces can look different when you put a wide-angle lens up close. The background plate in Svalbard is 100% real, as is David. This is another instance of Gunn clarifying technical details about the film. He previously addressed debates over color palettes and lens choices in the trailer. Gunn combines practical effects with stylistic flourishes to present Superman's world in a fresh, immersive way. Despite his clarifications, the flight scene remains a focal point of discussion. Anticipation for the July 11th, 2025 release of Superman continues to grow. And I'm one of those people who's just anticipating, the film. I'm actually quite excited for it. Honestly, I really don't think there's a problem with the movie. And I'm sure as we get closer to the release of the movie, I'm sure patches and updates and fixes would have already been done by the time we get to the premiere of the film. But anyway, honestly, I don't think we should have anything to worry about. You guys shouldn't worry about it. And for those of you who are critiquing somebody based on their natural appearances, shut the hell up. Just shut the hell up. How dare you? You're incredibly stupid if you're doing something like that. But anyway, that's all I got for you today. Like, comment, subscribe, click on the notifications so y'all don't miss anything. Dislike the video if you did. And as always, I will see you all in the next comic panel.